Do we have Hannah on?
Nobody's on.
But we're recording?
Yes.
Should happen.
Usually the red light is on, it's a white light on.
The white light's on when it's recording, the red's when it's stopped.
Okay,
So it says it's going.
good.
Do I have to hit record? Recording in progress. Okay.
All right.
I was looking to see if anybody popped on, but nope.
I'll call the meeting to order for October the 8th, 2024. Would you please rise for a moment of silence? Thank you. Would you please join in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Sheets.
Here.
Trustee Hannah.
Here.
Trustee Good.
Here. We thank Pete Griggs, our Township Legal Counsel, for being here tonight.
Correct.
And we have no minutes to approve. I will make a motion to pay our expenditures. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Trustee Sheets,
Yes.
trustee Hannah,
Yes.
trustee Good.
Yes.
Move on to departments. Deputy Atkins?
Evening, everybody. My name is Dan Atkins, the Community Liaison for Sheriff's Office. Last 2 weeks, we had a total of 155 runs, 27 reports, 9 total citations or arrests. Breakdown of that is we had 15 traffic crashes, 19 medic runs, 7 thefts, 1 missing persons, 5 stolen vehicles, 10 suspicious person or vehicles, 18 traffic offenses, and 1 motorcycle or ATV complaint. Couple calls to know that we've had 7 different car thefts with vehicles in the last 2 weeks. A lot of these are work vans or trailers that have been set out, people cutting locks off, stealing tools. I just left Jackson Township. They've seen a similar calls for service from our guys for the same thing. So just a reminder, keep your vehicles locked, keep valuables outside. We've had 6 handguns go missing in the last 2 weeks in 2 townships. So obviously those things we don't want to see. There's obviously an uptick in stolen vehicles. There's no correlation to that. A lot of them are some Kias from the trailer park areas, stuff like that. We're just trying to monitor those things. Right now I'm working a complaint over on Harrisburg, Georgeville Road. There's a resident over there is operating a business out there. I'm going to meet zoning enforcement on Thursday. Got speed trailer set up out there this week, trying to get some traffic counts. Talked to residents a couple times, working with trustees on that. Hopefully we'll get them in compliance. Should be shut down, but we'll get them there eventually. So we're working on any questions I can answer right now.
Does anybody have anything for Deputy Atkins? Jack, do you want to talk?
I'll be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to road department.
Okay, we got the Gay Road ditch project started. And didn't get very far because truck 22 blew a transmission line. And then truck 20 had issues with a wiring harness. Those are both fixed. So we'll get back on that here shortly. We also had the fall cleanup and we had 1 burial.
Anything for Robert? I mean, sorry, Greg.
Kind of.
I can fake Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Okay, are you doing the fire department report since you did the?
Sure.
Okay,
I have nothing but to read from this list.
all right.
So it looks like an email was received for a past due invoice on the insurance policy for the fire department. Looks like there was some back and forth and you've made arrangements with them to take the check to them.
Yes.
Okay. Vehicles, engine 231, they replaced several door sensors that went bad. Engine 231, 232, and the tanker are tentatively scheduled for pump testing this week. Medic 231 is still at Braun being repaired. The station, there were repairs made to the shower door and the firefighter's restroom. Grove City IT is in the process of installing a new phone in the day room that went bad. Replaced several light fixtures in the firehouse and the floodlight on the exterior of the building. This week is Fire Prevention Week. Crews will be at Darbydale Elementary on Friday the 11th to meet with the students. Still have medic school ongoing. That is all. No questions from the no.
We have no fire department personnel here because they're on a rollover accident.
Yeah.
Anybody have any old business? A new business. I received an email from Brian Clark, Deputy Director with City of Columbus about the Big Derby Accord jurisdictional meeting they are convening. He will follow up with more details about the meeting. That's going to happen on Thursday, October 24th from 9 to 12. And they only want one trustee there because of sunshine law. So I told him I would go, if either of you would rather go. That's okay. All right, I will attend that.
Appreciate y'all.
You're welcome. Okay. Any other new business?
I was, participated in fraud training with the auditor's office. I've got a certificate of completion there that would like to put in the township records.
I have mine too. I can email to Paula so she has it.
I put Ed's right here, Paula.
Okay.
All right, announcements. Alpine Road over Hope Ranch Run will be closed October 14th, 2024 for 21 days. And the type of work is the approach slab replacement. So that's going to be west of Kuntz Road, right there at Alkire. That's a long time.
Yes, it is.
And we had some updates from local waste from their review of the trash pickup last week. Somebody had a toter full of glass. And someone had a treadmill out that was too heavy. I hope they brought it over to the cleanup.
We had a few come in, so
Did you?
maybe, I don't know.
And then we had a recycle bin full of trash, so it was contaminated recycling, so they didn't pick it up and would probably pick it up this Thursday as trash. Anything else for announcements? Hey, Paula?
Okay. A couple of notices came in from worker comp. I will copy those for you. Received an email from, and I cannot pronounce this, Zubovich Village. I think Robert mentioned it last week that last meeting that he was checking with the Franklin County Engineers Office. They're wanting us to sign off on that. The gentleman that's over that project had called back, and I told him I would forward his email to Robert. And it was my understanding that Robert had planned to contact a rep of the Franklin County Engineers Office for coordination and guidance. And I did forward that to Robert. I copied everybody on Otarma sent information where they do the property appraisal and report to its members. So everybody has that, and I asked for it to be reviewed and any necessary corrections and changes be made. I haven't heard anything back from anybody. I also sent you a copy of BWC's has a substance use recovery and workshop safety program. Also, when I was doing my certificate on the auditor's website, they had a link to sign up for its Know Befores cybersecurity awareness information. And they're just periodically sending different information that to try to help from being hacked. The Franklin County Commissioners meeting was held today. The Planning Commission has one scheduled for tomorrow. Received a couple invoice or emails on the consortium too that's being worked on. Ed's handling that on behalf of the township. Received a couple calls and emails from lady who works for a progressive energy consultants wanting to do electric aggregation. I gave her all the information on Trebell. I guess she was a little confused at first, but then finally through all the phone calls, whatever, they were wanting to do the electric aggregation for our commercial accounts. And I told her she was welcome to talk to the board, but I didn't believe that we would do the township's electric with a different aggregation company than one we're using for the entire township. So all the rest of these are just kind of notification emails, Board of Elections. Yesterday was the last day to register to vote. Some information from on the consortium too. Lots of emails from SWACO, just different informational stuff. Deferred comp, that they have a 2024 virtual benefits fair. Newsletter from the county commissioners. Couple newsletters from WARPC, HealthWorks. Couple newsletters from the State Township Association, the Nature Conservancy, along with the Darby Creek Association and Metro Parks on the 5th, had a big and little Darby Creek showcase. Township Association education events, Ohio Community Wildlife Cooperative Conference, and Franklin County Soil and Water. And again, all of those are just kind of informational type of emails.
You have the retro pay all cut.
On the retro, it was all done in the payroll that was effective today, with the exception of 2 firefighters. Both of them had step increases during that period of time. So I need to, I initially calculated it one way and then I need to go back and do that. I gave them notes in their pay stubs last night and told them that I would have them a check today. Unfortunately, by the time I went to go call ADP to get the tax breakdown, it was too late to get that today, and I will do that first thing in the morning, and I'll make those checks available tomorrow. But all the rest of them received theirs.
How about the HSA?
Okay, on the HSA, there is, I talked to the gal today down there, or a different gal. The one I've been talking to is off work, and apparently, depending on what department you're dealing with, she's off work. So the one I talked to, I told her the last I heard, we still had one employee that his account was in pending status. And because this gal didn't work with that, she said she didn't have that information. So we may still have one person that's out there. There's still some glitches. The only payments that have been sent in to CME at this point is payroll deductions. I started out with doing mine back in July. That one went through fine. The next month when I sent one in, for some reason, Fifth Third sent them a check that made it look like it was coming from me personally rather than the township. CME put it in my personal account and then they kicked it back, said that the check did not have a signature on it. So then I had to resubmit that one. The next couple of times went through fine, but for some reason on the only other person that is having payroll deduction is the fire chief. And his first couple ones went through, and today when I checked the township bank account, it was showing that there was it didn't say where it came from, but I'm assuming because it looks just like it did when it kicked one back on mine, that it kicked his deposit back. But when I talked to the girl, she said all his is showing in his account. But so I'll have to wait, I guess, till tomorrow when Fifth Third updates their records to see if that got kicked back out. So there, just so everybody's aware, because there is some issues and then some glitches. If we pay everybody who's eligible, we're talking $54,000 in 15 different accounts. And so I would just hate to send out $54,000 and try to get it in 15 different accounts till we've got whatever glitches is going on. Every time I've scheduled, the ones that we've done has been done the same way. So again, why there was a couple that didn't go through the way the others did, I have no idea. So
Are those being sent electronically, or I thought you said it was gonna cost too much to send it electronically?
what it is the way Fifth Third does it is I schedule it on the computer and Fifth Third sends a check to them, and it takes a week to get there. So. And originally, when I talked to CME, they said they did not have ACH. The gal I talked to today told me to go into Fifth Third and see about if they can help me set up an ACH to where I can pay it that way rather than doing the way it's been done.
I'm kind of thinking that we might as well send it. Because if there's been a couple glitches before, I don't see they're gonna have it worked out until we find out.
Well, I want to be on record that, and I know we had some discussion on this last meeting about and for those who weren't here, the township has been paying, I did some figures. The township already spends for insurance for employees, life insurance premiums at 100%, vision 100%, dental 100%. The employees pay 10% based on the current invoices for a year's worth of expenses, and this does include it's $359,000, over $359,000. For the last several years, we've done an HRA program. And on those figures for 21, 22, and 23, we paid, and all this pays is the employees' insurance deductible for them as a benefit. We spent another $233,000. This year alone, we have spent almost $63,000 in HRA payments. And that was for employees' deductibles. Now, I understand that originally when we did the switch over, it was to save the township money. And originally it was discussed that we would, to try to get these costs down, because from 22 to 23, we spent, and it increased by over $40,000. In 23, we spent almost $110,000 just on HRA. And all that is paying employees' personal deductibles and prescription costs. So part of the issue is that because we've already spent almost $63,000 on that HRA costs, and then that situation is compounded because I believe that there's been a lot of employees who have gone over, at least one by potentially a couple $1,000,
But when I called Burnham and Flowers, they said the people that went over, it was because they have till March of this year for co-pays to come through from the previous year.
Well, and I looked at that, but I have it all broke down. I've got it all written out by employee, whatever, and you can go back and look at what came in January, February, and March. And there, that person would still be over. The other
But
part,
still, I mean, we signed a contract to put $4,000.
okay, well,
So
I'm just letting people know that, and the other thing of it is the union did file a grievance. And in the grievance, it said that the HRA was supposed to end on May. And then the HSA was supposed to start June, July, and August. They were allowed to do run-out claims, but according to the report that I get from the insurance company, it looks like everybody except for a couple of people were still using those charge cards up and through August.
Because we have no money.
But then you're still using, you can't, to me, that's double dipping then. So you can't say our okay, now you want us to turn around and give you $4,000.
Oh, we don't have money on an HSA card to use, so we have to
If we
use
had the
card.
money on the HSA card, we wouldn't have done the other.
I have money on my HSA card because I take it out of my.
You know what?
check. I'm personally responsible for.
I
my
gotta say, this is the
personal
moot point. Here's the thing, what's in the contract, what was approved? What was Resolution 66 approved for on September 1st?
right, one
So-
really doesn't have anything to do
And
with
the
the
fact
other.
that one
It's gotta be paid.
employee went over, I don't even know how that's.
That's not
possible.
just one employee. It's
I don't
more
know
than
how,
one.
I don't know how one person, I don't know how, and even, I don't care if it's 39 employees and 38 of them went over. Why is the one person being punished for someone that did something else? It's
I-
a benefit that we were supposed to have. And due to the fact that that didn't end, that when it ended May 31st and we stopped using it like we were told, we have nothing from June 1st till now. And I hear glitches and complications. What are they? How can we help? How can we help to resolve these so that we can get the funds put where they need to be?
Here's what I'm gonna say. Obviously, the board entered into a collective bargaining agreement and that is what it is, right? We are required pursuant to our collective bargaining agreement to make those payments. With respect to overpayments or spending more, obviously, we're audited by the state auditor's office. They will come in, they will look at our contractual obligations to our employees. If the state auditor believes that there has been an overpayment to an employee, they will issue what they call a findings of recovery to the board to seek repayment of those funds. So there is a mechanism in place, happens all the time. It's, whether it's intentional or not intentional, it is what it is, right?
Right.
The auditor will back check that.
We can go back to Burnham and Flower if that was.
And if
happened,
it's
right?
Burnham and Flowers' mistake, then we'll go back to Burnham and Flowers and have a chat with them about how they're gonna rectify that situation. So, not only has a grievance been filed, but there's been an unfair labor practice charge that's been filed with the Ohio State Employment Relations. And that's what I'm hearing, and I'll have that conversation in executive session with the board tonight. But, I think what's important is, the board has issued a resolution. They've directed the fiscal officer is an independent elected position. At the end of the day, the board has really little authority to make fiscal officer make the payment other than,
So who has the authority to make the fiscal officer do that once it's approved, once that resolution?
well, it could either be the state employer relations board, or court.
Okay, and do we approach you to take this to court?
No.
Should we need to? We have to, we incur, it's our own,
I'm their attorney, so yeah.
so it's our own money that we're gonna spend to
Potentially.
take her to court to get
Obviously,
money that's due to these employees.
obviously the local has taken a step in terms of a ULP, which I think is one remedy that could result in an order being issued by the State Employment Relations Board.
Well,
So,
could we
but
simply take care of this and just write the check?
You guys need to make a resolution to transfer $54,000 over to that account.
They did on September 1st.
I will make
No, they
resolution
didn't.
71, is that correct?
So should we override a resolution on the one?
yeah, I think if.
It's not-
if
This is transferring.
This is
specific
transfer.
dollar amount, I'm fine with that
Okay.
resolution.
This is totally separate than what you guys did. This is a transfer from one account, checking account to the other checking account, like we did on all the others.
So since I wasn't here, I don't think there were any resolutions made last meeting, so we're on 71. I'll make resolution 71 to transfer is 54,000 the total amount,
I believe so. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
54,000 from
The regular checking
regular checking
over to, it'll be the HSA account.
HSA account.
What date would that be on those cards then?
We'll have to make the transfer and it takes a week.
So will you transfer it tomorrow and then 5 business days from then it'll be on there?
All I can do is transfer it. I get a date. And they give me a date when it'll be transferred over and
So is it
The transfer is,
or
the transfer is instantaneously, isn't it? When you do
I don't know, I'm confused.
I'm not trying to frustrate you. I'm trying to understand because a lot of us are here that don't understand and we're trying to educate ourselves. With the sunshine law and, now from the last meeting, I've got a lot of concerns.
So
A lot
for
of
this
concerns.
54,000, for this resolution, the transfer is just on paper with your books, right?
right.
Okay. So then,
Well, you're authorizing the transfer of the money, just like we used to do on the others, over to the other checking account, and then that's the account it'll be sent out of.
so then you can authorize Fifth Third to send the money to CME to
Right.
the HSA.
Right.
Do that tomorrow?
I will schedule it, but like I said, when I schedule it, then it shows up as it'll say a scheduled date, but it's not the date I scheduled. It's the date it's scheduled to go to them. And it'll say, like, for instance, the last one said, has been scheduled for Tuesday, September 17th. And then I get a email from the 3rd on the 17th that transaction has taken place.
What
But-
date did you do that initial
But
transfer?
that doesn't necessarily mean that's when CME is going to do their thing.
If you
So-
do it tomorrow, at least we're making progress or and together. Do I have a second?
How long does CME usually take once they receive it?
It has varied, and again, it depends on if there's any glitches, like
Assuming there's no glitch.
I don't have access to anybody's account, so I don't know when it gets put in their account. I only know when it hits mine, and it varies.
But we have a contact person at CME that
Yep.
we're able to say you received it. Can you give us an update as to when those monies will be transferred to the cards?
I can call them.
Who is that?
But, excuse me. But, just for instance, like in the last one that I did, it went to the fire chief's account. And it shows from Fifth Third that it got taken care of, but I have no way of knowing when it got put in his account. And as I previously stated today, when I looked at Fifth Third checking, the very first thing on pending says, returned item, no signature, $100. And that's what happened before. Because it just showed up today, I'm assuming after midnight tonight, I'll be able to go and look and see what that item actually was. When I talked to the gal from Fifth Third, or not at Fifth Third, at CME, I said, can you check to see if that went into that person's account or what's going on? And I had to tell her how many deposits should be in his account, and she said they were showing.
Okay.
But again, I don't know. So, and the,
Second that motion or that resolution.
You have a question?
I do, only because I do the same kind of online banking. So when I have to send a paper check, it tells me how many days until it's gonna be there. And that's why I asked what was the date when she got the confirmation on the 17th. I was just trying to figure out what CME's time turnaround is. That's the only reason why I asked what that date, when she did it, when she got confirmation on the 17th.
when I send it, this is what I print out. Said payment scheduled, the payment of $100 to CME Federal Credit Union 7255 has been scheduled for Wednesday, October 2nd. Then I get a confirmation from Fifth Third that says, here's the summary of your account activity for, and this was dated October the 2nd, and it's that $100.
So it's the same day.
I get this back from Fifth Third saying that evidently,
Maybe I'm not
They got-
communicating well. Here's what I want to know. The date that she asked to have those funds sent prior to getting the confirmation. So if it was October 2nd, did she do it September 27th? You know, I don't know.
anyways, I have no way of knowing when
You don't
CME,
know when.
I
you
don't know
when
when
you asked
CME
for that to be done?
yes, I just told you that.
No, you told us that, what was
So
it
we-
saying?
Uh,
I think the question is when you request the transfer. Do they do that? Does Fifth Third do it the same day that you request it?
all I know,
Saying whether the money lands in the account,
Okay.
end user's account.
all I know is I go online,
Yep.
I print this out,
What?
And
when did
that's
you
what
make
it
the
says.
request?
I made it on the 10th, or I did it on the 11th because last payroll that this was for was 9/10. So I made the request on 9/11.
And they received it on the 17th.
And this is when they're saying, and that's when I make it, the third tells me when they're gonna do
Okay.
it. And then I get a confirmation back on the day if it goes through, on the day they said it was.
Okay,
But at that point, I have no information what's going on down at CME.
okay.
And I don't have access to people's accounts to double check to see if the money got put in the account.
How does CME know what to do with it when they get it? Is there like a form or something
I
that tells them?
send in a report and say, here's a list of everybody's account numbers. And like I said, we still have one employee that I don't have an account number for. And his thing is still pending, and that's something he had to personally set up. And so I send him a report and say, this amount of money needs to go in this account.
Is there any way tomorrow when that request is made that we can get that confirmation sent to the chair?
Do what now? You want me to give Nancy proof that I did it?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Yes.
Roll call.
Trustee Sheets,
Abstain due to my position on the contract.
trustee Hunter,
Yes.
trustee Good,
Yes.
I have one more question, just piggybacking off of kind of like that. Just because I've been learning all this sunshine law and I'm trying to figure everything out, I've looked at the state auditors from the last couple of years that have been, I've noticed they've been behind. And there's been recommendations for, I don't have I've got them right here, but there's been recommendations and I'm wondering where the recommendations, did the trustees enforce what corrections were made? Are there dual sets of eyes on the banking? Are there two sets of eyes on all of the township accounts?
Yes,
Are you guys signing off every month where you know where money's going?
we get reports.
You get the actual bank statements? Or do you not need that?
That's not typical.
Okay. So how, how, as a citizen, I know I can ask for copies of all this stuff. But I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what funds what was appropriated for what funds.
We have an appropriations measure that we make.
But because it said they exceeded some of them.
Sure. So they didn't follow the proper procedure in amending.
So that's why there's so many concerns being raised now, because it's been so difficult for this. Now I'm like, well, where's, the other, what's going on?
Ultimately, it's gonna fall back on, the auditor and the level of what, I guess you'd say the ramifications they weren't.
Well, he said, this auditor said that they approached the county and there was or the township, and there was no response.
That,
So I don't know, that's what I mean, I don't know what any of this means.
so.
Well, I think as a township member, taxpayer for 14 years, I think we should get some straight answers.
What's your question? If I remember right, I'd have to refresh my memory and read that. When they say they got no response, it's because there wasn't a problem.
Or we didn't respond. I mean, we could have responded and said, no, you
Yeah,
didn't believe
yeah.
this is correct.
Yes,
blah,
Not
blah.
that we
When
ignored
an
it.
audit is issued, townships have the ability to respond to the audit. If you do not respond to the audit, the auditor takes that as you accept their recommendations. So there have been situations where, I mentioned the finding of recovery, where the auditors come in and said, you overpaid employee X, they weren't entitled to this overtime. Sometimes the township will respond to that and say, no, we were correct because of, here's our proof. And then the auditor will say, okay. So typically when there's no response from the township, it means that we agree with the recommendation.
Okay, does that mean all of the trustee, all you guys are reviewing this? So it's
yeah.
more
The
than
audit.
one set of eyes? It's
The audits, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't understand your.
well, no, we kind of got there, but again, I'm learning all this.
Sure.
I'm educating
That's
myself,
great, yes.
so.
Any other questions? So does that take care of your speaker seat?
No, I want to go back. I have a question for Ed.
Hands on.
Just because you guys already talked about local waste. Did you meet with them and you were going to talk about that gas surcharge, or did they respond to that?
They did not. I did not meet with local Sordium, who was the attorney that's putting the contract together. And I did not get with local.
Did you did they impose the gas surcharge?
Someone, I don't know, someone else brought it up at the last meeting. They give us a fuel surcharge when the
They-
gas is up, but it didn't go down when the gas went back down.
No, that typically isn't.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, I know it doesn't typically, but I knew he was gonna meet with someone and
Yeah.
talk to him about it, so I just wanted to follow up.
And they have in the past. Remember when
They have given us a reduction in the past.
You're welcome.
It used to be a fuel surcharge, but when they did the recent, not recent, but a few years ago, they did the new contracts and put it in.
Now it's up for renewal.
Yep.
January,
It's 5-year.
in a year. Okay, Glenda,
Yes.
you're up.
Can I come up there?
If you want to, you don't have to. We can hear you better if you come up here.
Okay. Well, I can tell you, these opinions are mine. You're not a legal trustee if you don't know me. We're married, at least through today. His last words to me when I said I'm coming to the meeting was, "Don't do anything stupid." To which I said,
Sounds like it.
"Have you met me?" But like I said, this is my opinion. This comes from 50 years of more of working in the private sector. It comes from 45 years of owning my own business, having employees, running 3 shifts of employees, 5 days a week, doing millions of dollars worth of business. First, I guess I need to tell you that I'm really kind of disappointed the way the firefighter contract was signed. That someone puts a poorly written blurb on Facebook, and the union posts an open letter to the township on Facebook, and all of a sudden it's hustle, hustle, let's have a meeting on a Sunday night of a holiday weekend to pass this. I just think from an outside perspective, it looks like something was trying to get run under the radar. Last year, a levy was promoted for the benefit of the fire department and the township. I think what it essentially did was secured more money for salaries and benefits. And if you recall, the union did put a pause in negotiations until the levy could or couldn't be passed, so they knew how much money the township was going to have and how much they can ask for. I think that it speaks to transparency and fairness, especially for the people that voted for the levy. And to the best of my knowledge, I am only aware of 2 firefighters that live or own property in the township and actually pay these taxes. I think the voters will be shocked to find out what salaries and benefits are. Between $6,800 going in the HRA account and another $4,000 going in the HSA account, that's $10,800 in 1 year tax-free. My understanding of the reason behind the debit card on the HRA account was to take care of deductibles. So when you say now, we have no money to pay for anything, the deductible is less on this insurance than it was on the previous insurance, and you got the $6,800 deductible paid with the HRA account. Everybody has co-pays. You go to the drugstore, my prescription has a $6 copay or a $10 copay or a $20 copay. You expect the taxpayers to pay that? That is your responsibility. The taxpayers pay your salary. They didn't take you to raise. The township does pay 100% of insurance, with the exception of medical, which you pay 10, 18%, whatever the figure is. I guess one of the questions I have is I want to know how the township trustees intend to collect the overpayments that were done when the HRA was in effect, as well as charges that were made after the debit card quit on May 31st. They were everyone, and I was here, was given specific instruction as to here are the forms you need to submit to Burnham and Flowers for reimbursement. And I know I've heard the song about, well, the reason it went over is because, December bills don't run, may not hit till January or February. I understand. I have those same bills, but certainly not to that extent. And I think it's excessive by any standards. Has anyone even asked for documentation or offered any documentation? They haven't. They just blindly, okay, this year my things, I ran over on my HSA because it was really a bill from last year. Well, that's what you say. Prove it. Instead, you're blindly, not you, I'm not saying you, blindly going along using this debit card because we have no money. We've already paid your deductible. Are we supposed to pay everything? You want us to go to Kroger and get your groceries? I have paid taxes in this township for a long time, and I pay a lot of taxes. And I'm tired. I appreciate the work that the firemen do. I appreciate the road department. I appreciate all the township employees. I am so grateful for health insurance, it's not even funny. I have had a couple of major overhauls at the hospital, and I haven't run over the HRA. I go to the drugstore frequently, I'm paying my own deductibles. And then,
But you don't have kids. There are people that are probably ran over.
but that wasn't the
Kids.
point of HRA. The point of the HRA was to take care of your deductible. It wasn't to pay for your kids. It wasn't to pay for you. It was to pay for your deductible. And you are an adult. You are expected, if you're gonna have a family, you're expected to pay for your family and pay those bills. And if you can't, then you need to rethink something. Maybe get another job, work on your budget, but don't expect me to pay for it. I'm tired. I've been paying taxes for a long time. And then to say, well, we really work hard and we deserve everything that we get, and we ought to get more than this. No, you work hard, you do your job, you deserve your job, and you deserve a paycheck. This township is so generous. When I tell people what this township pays, they are flabbergasted. They all but call me a liar. No, they can't possibly do that. So at the end of the day, I guess what I want the township to do is I want you to start spending township money like it's coming out of your personal checkbook,
I already do.
not out of my personal checkbook.
I already do.
You guys do, but there are other people that just think it's a bottomless pit and they can feed at the, at the trough forever. And you can't. We have got to, this levy, how long do you think it's gonna last with these numbers? Not very long. And I'm here to tell you, you go for another one, you don't have a chance in hell.
Are we allowed to ask questions?
Yes.
Well, because I'm confused. Am I understanding right that the township put 6,800 and another 4,000 in the same year, so $10,800,
Yeah.
which I have not seen?
So this
Yeah.
6,800 you got as you used it. It wasn't like, so the
Right.
HSA was a reimbursement. HSA is a dump of money. Some people may not have used it
Right.
much of their.
Okay, so but that goes back to the township if it's not used, right?
It's never left the township if it's not
Okay,
used.
okay. I just want to make sure
They're
because
two
I'm like,
completely different things, the HSA and the HRA.
so
But
some,
money
so,
you didn't use, someone else overused.
Well,
So-
and
but he said those, they're gonna go back for it,
well, I will say that
I hope we all live that.
years
long.
ago, we hired Burnham and Flowers to handle this. Burnham and Flowers is endorsed by the OTA. We've got to assume that they know what they're doing with this. They're the ones who handle the reimbursements. I mean, we've got to have a little faith in them to be able to handle it. It wouldn't be something that we could manage on our own.
I will say, I've always had to fax in or email in proof from the doctor.
Unfortunately, you and I are probably in the minority.
Oh, I was gonna say, cause that's the first thing they do. When they see a charge come through, they go, where's the statement or whatever? And
Exactly.
then you have to, that's the only way you get reimbursed.
And they just blindly pay it.
So the problems with Burnham Flowers then. Not the township.
No, correct. Because the card shuts off at 8,800. Like you can't use it. If you did the wellness.
That's what I
you have to
thought.
pay it out
Why
of
wouldn't the
pocket
card
to
just shut off?
submit.
It doesn't.
Yeah, if the out of pocket for the wellness is that you have to pay it out of pocket, then get reimbursed if you did the wellness credits.
Okay.
So, but the card shut off at 8,800 if you use that much.
So he's saying it shuts off and she's saying it doesn't shut off. So I'm confused. Does the card shut off once you
Did
hit
you use it past June 1st? The HRA part, the Burnham and Flowers? The old one?
I threw mine out.
That's what I thought.
Cut it up.
You told me you threw it out.
Yeah,
so I didn't think you used
Yeah.
it beyond that. Because they were supposed to shut off June 1st.
there might be a $29 one that I might have to pay back for a prescription because we didn't have that card. And I sent it into Burnham and Flowers, so I might owe $29 or $26 back, and I'm good for it. But if we had that other card activated like it was supposed to be, that wouldn't have happened.
Well, in August, there was over $5,000.
Well, I think the answer is relatively simple. I think we can work with Burnham and Flowers and have them perform an accounting for the township and give us a list.
We did, didn't we? Didn't you reach out to Jim Morgan and he sent a bunch of documents and some explanations as to why things were over, and
Right,
that
I
was a
think
couple of months ago that we did that.
Tell that we received.
technically they can't give us a copy of what your
Right.
prescription was.
Right.
Well, and that was the other thing. I was like, I'm having a hard time talking about other people's medical history in here and how much they spend. That shouldn't be done in an open forum.
And what the only information they provide us is name and amount, not what for, not if it's your kid, it's just the employee and the amount, but we got that information. I mean, was that a couple of months ago? With explanations as to why some looked over and
So some
Those
weren't
seem to
over, it
make
just
sense.
looked like they were over.
the explanations they
Some
gave
were
us
over.
made sense.
Some were over.
But they told us it was because they had from January to March from the previous year for some to come through.
Right, so it would look like an overage, because you get one amount per year, so it's calculated on when it's paid, not when it's incurred.
But any of that carryover, the run, they call the run out, was supposed to be filed manually and get a direct deposit. And I think that we only had one, maybe two employees that did very small amounts on those. All the rest looks like they've used their charge cards.
Well, you're talking about at the end, right?
No, I'm talking about in January, February, March. And the other thing of it is the information you're talking about that you got from him is 3 months old. So we've had another, I think it was almost $15,000 worth of charges that's came in since you guys did.
Right, then we'll have to request a new report from him and an explanation.
Okay,
I'm kind of just trying to wrap my head around this. So if the 6,800 wasn't used or the 8,800, that never left the township.
Correct.
So $10,800 or $12,800 has not been dispersed to every employee to date.
no,
Okay. I just want to clarify that because I thought 10,800 was too much, but
that's technically what the whole amount is for this year.
yeah, but you don't have to pay all that if we didn't use it.
Right.
No.
So that number's not accurate.
That 60-some thousand dollars was actual money that got paid out. So now with this 54, it's
Not
gonna
for
be
everybody.
collectively, or are you
It
talking
could
like,
have been.
oh,
if they
I'm
used
talking
it,
about
I didn't
how much
use
got,
mine.
no, I'm talking about how much got spent. So,
I can tell you from January to June 1st, I spent 500 and something of that.
How much total was spent?
Yours is low.
64,000? So that's basically six,
Right.
$10,000.
Um,
6 employees.
Is that for the whole year?
there was
How
6,
many employees?
between January and the end of August, when they did the whatever, it was $62,962.03 got paid out.
You said January
But
through August.
If there's 10 employees, that's $100,000, round figures, that is allocated for that, and not everybody's using that. So
But I think the point people are missing was that was for the year, but we didn't use it the whole year. You only used it through the end, supposedly through the end of May. So the 8,000 actually is supposed to be 6,800 and then another 2,000 if you earned your credits, which most people did not earn. So the majority of people should have spent was up to $6,800
But because
Through the
we agreed
end-
with it and
through the end of May.
So
Right. I
So in
think
5
we
months.
Hit year one, and
what was offered?
from here on out, it'll be that
For-
number, and that's
for a
it. There's
family,
no
4,000.
fluctuation. It's just, that's gonna be what it is.
Yeah.
This year is gonna be a little worse than the coming years. That's when we're gonna start seeing, the savings that.
But you're not going to see the savings because the whole purpose of going from an HRA to an HSA and the original discussion was giving people $2,000 and it was gonna save because our premium went up 31%. And so we had a very slim,
But if we pay them
It's a fixed cost
nine
now,
thousand
not
for one
all over the
person, now
place.
we're locked into 4,000. Right there is a savings. So
So ultimately, it was the board's decision to make that insurance decision. So
yes,
it is what it is.
Right.
You continually review it, and I think you move on, make sure we're doing it right, make sure what we've done in the past was right, and make sure we're meeting our contractual obligation. You know, obviously, the next time a levy's on the ballot, every resident has the right to express their likeness, dislike, or whatever you've done.
so we'll move on to Ken.
Wife and I had a very interesting weekend this weekend. Saturday, we went and toured Schwenko. I don't know if anybody's done it, not done it.
Yes,
Excellent tour. You
We've
learn a
done it.
lot about what goes on at Schwenko. Interesting enough. So then on Sunday, we're out touring around and we've been seeing all this biodigester stuff west of us, right? Have past trustee meetings, has anything come up about this, about our township feelings, leaders' feelings on this at all? Has anybody addressed anything?
I received a phone call from a certain citizen.
Okay.
Out in Madison County.
Okay, all right. I did some research on this company that wants to do this, and I think it's very bad for them. The county commissioners have a letter out there that they are not supporting building this in the county. There's no limit on it. But on our tour, I'll have to open it again here. A good percentage of what goes into the landfill is called food waste. And it is 15%. So 15% of what goes in on the driveways is food waste. And my question to the lady on Saturday was, so with this biodigester, are you looking, and they're trying to cut everything they can recycling wise, including food waste. And she says, yes, we would like food waste instead of going there to go over here. Okay. There are the same company, other places they've built, they've had issues with big environmental issues, including odors and gases. There was an article, it's too lengthy to get into, about all the different gases that can come from this biodigester. And I think it's important for us, since we're downwind of this, to also take a stance on it, that I don't think any citizen here, any firefighter would want this blowing this way. Okay, I don't want it blowing this way. Okay, and I'd like to see the trustees also make it known that, or take a stand on it, whether it's talking to citizens on our western area township. But I think we should take a negative stand on this proposal. It means more trucks going down through here and from everywhere else. So on the roadways, decreased property values. Okay. And then when you have the odors, I worked for a gentleman that was at Iola University up around Chicago. And that university put in a biodigester and it was very successful. And they ran a lot of their vehicles off of the methane gas from the biodigester. But he also said that they had a dump in Chicago that the smell, they had a leak in it and it traveled 30 miles. An ungodly amount of lawsuits over it, right? Until they finally got it fixed and taken care of. But I think that's where, as a government agency, I think by taking a negative stand on it at this point, right, that we are, this is one for the lawyer, we're saying we don't approve it, so we're not going to get sued for anything down the road because, well, the trustees, they were for this and they were in support of it also. That's my little spiel on that. But with everything else that's going on, my other question is, why don't we have minutes? Why don't we have paper copies? Have paper copies of the things you guys approve that you sign off on? Don't.
We have copies of everything they send. We maintain the records.
Well, I asked Nancy at the beginning if they're meeting minutes, and she said no. So-
Yeah, and that's the thing. For our liability, I would think that we would want minutes, all right? We would want something that in this day and age, any citizen can go in and look at the minutes, computer wise. I would assume all the other townships around here have it, all right? Why we don't, I think we're looking for huge liability down the road on all of your parts, okay, and her part. Okay, I just don't understand why we're so behind in time. And why we can't have minutes. When I want to know something, I'm out of town, I want to know what happened at a meeting, I should be able to get that.
Sure.
All
I
right,
don't disagree with you. It's the fiscal officers to do the minutes. The last ones I have are from March of 2023. So I keep.
I'm ready to go to Attorney General, Auditor's Office,
Well,
file complaints there because this is not right. We should have, as taxpaying citizens, we should know what's going on here, all right? Those tapes are as good as a tape is, all right? Where are they kept? Are they kept in a fireproof place? How long do cassette tapes last? What's the age on a tape? How would you ever go back and if somebody asked you for minutes of a meeting, there are none. Well, they're on tape, but they weren't ever approved. Okay, but they're on tape. No, written minutes that can be looked at, requested by any citizen in the township. Talking about showing what we're worth. You know, I think that's showing our accountability. I think the time should start now that we have minutes. With everything going on around us, all this other stuff.
But that's out of our control. You want to explain that to him?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I think you all know, I mean, it's fiscal officer prepares the minutes, the board approves it. You know, and I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we're required to have meetings.
can I speak, please?
Sure.
Okay. Actually, there was a lawsuit a while back. I believe it was White versus Clinton County. And the Supreme Court ruled that using recordings as part of our meeting minutes is legal and allowable. That the Ohio Revised Code does not dictate how the records are kept, and they can be kept by recordings.
And when the recordings fail, then what do you have?
Well, since COVID, we now have webcam. And
But don't
then,
we have to,
Didn't work last time.
no,
Yes. So
We do have to approve
we
them.
can have that conversation.
if you have written minutes, you would approve them.
Why can't we just do them? Don't it seem like it'd be simple? I've offered to help.
Oh.
I'll type minutes.
Okay.
But
Okay. Well, actually, Nancy does a very good job of, she always keeps track of everything and she prints it on the web. She puts the video on the web and she also puts what transpired during the meeting, and between that and a log of resolutions. And we've got all the recordings.
But why can't you then take her notes and put them into a minutes that they then approve? And you add what you need to with the resolutions? That was my question. Is every resolution that you pass, then you receive a paper copy of it that you sign off on? Is that
I mean, that's how I've always done it, but as far as I know, I don't know that I've ever signed a resolution since I've been on the board.
So, look, I mean,
That's not.
Maybe the first year.
I pretty much represent everybody around here. Everybody does. Whether or not it's a separate written resolution or the resolution itself is within the meeting minutes, it usually takes one of those two forms.
But it's something's written somewhere,
Correct.
but we have nothing other than.
That's my understanding.
What's the retention schedule on the minutes? Oh, really?
Print it.
Everything is forever.
permanent. So at any time, we're supposed to be able to call phone, in person, or email or letter and get it. So-
Any minutes are to be prepared within a reasonable period of time. Okay,
What's the definition of reasonable?
that's why.
But there are no minutes.
So, well, since March of 23.
Correct. So if somebody wants to get nasty, all right, and they want minutes from this, and then they get their lawyer involved, and then the liability comes back, doesn't come back on her, or does it come back on them?
It's gonna come back on the township. So it would be everybody.
And some of the lawsuits that have been out there in case history because of this type of situation, are you familiar with that, what any penalties have been? Well, it's settlement.
It's, what I would suspect would happen is the court would probably $1,000 penalty. They probably wouldn't go back for each and every meeting, but there would probably be an order to township for every.
But if somebody wants a whole lot more money,
Yeah, it's gonna be capped, but it obviously doesn't.
so that'd be a waste of taxpayer money.
Right.
That's why.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? Then we need an executive session.
Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G3 for the purpose of discussing with legal counsel pending litigation on the township.
I move to go in executive session according to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22 G3 to discuss pending litigation with our legal counsel.
That'll-
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Trustee Sheets,
Yes.
trustee Hunter,
Yes.
trustee Good.
You know, I heard you start with the last one.
Thank you.
You know how to save,
What is that?
you know how to save attorneys throughout.
Under the Ohio Revised Code section 121.22G, I move to come out of executive session to have a second.
I'll second that.
Roll call?
Trustee Sheets,
Yes.
trustee Hunter,
Yes.
trustee Good.
Yes. And I make a motion to,
Wait, right before you do that, just for the record, I was over here late last night to get bills and there wasn't anything here. Oh, wow, there was a couple. These are all bills. So they all just,
that you got today?
they were in my mailbox. So I don't know where they've been or why they weren't here last night, but
I just received those this morning. Well,
all of these,
Bucks. Probably 2/3 of them, yes. Some of them were from, stuff that I received from Krause for the medical bill stuff, or for the EMS plus.
so if there's complaints about bills getting paid late, because I do come over here every Monday night late to get bills so that they're
Should be marked when I got it on the inside. I just put it back in and make it easier.
done on time. And let me see here. Hang on a minute. Oh, and just for the record, this was in the dispatch. These are how many Franklin County delinquent properties there is. There's 35 pages there. People have a hard time paying their property taxes. And I think everybody needs to be mindful of that.
Okay, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. On the meeting minutes, I just want to read part of this. It just says using recordings as part of your meeting minutes. And it says the Open Meetings Act requires public bodies to keep minutes, they call them minutes, of their meetings. The OMA, however, does not set forth what the minutes must include or how they must be recorded. Fortunately, the courts have provided some standards by which minutes can be judged. And to begin with, your minutes cannot be a simple listing of the resolutions that the board considered showing the votes that were cast on each issue. Instead, the minutes must provide sufficient detail that the public can understand and appreciate the rationale behind the relevant public body's decision. White versus Clinton County Commissioners. And it says, one of the fundamental reasons of requiring public bodies to create and maintain minutes is to allow the public to examine the actions that are taken by government officials. A mere listing of resolutions and votes does not allow for that. In many respects, the easiest way to meet this requirement is to use some type of recording system. Such an approach is permissible. In the White case, the court said the public bodies could meet their duty to provide minutes by using audio or videotape recordings, word for word transcripts, even abstracts of the discussions indicating the identity of the speakers and the chronology and substance of their statements. And it goes on and it says, more recently, the Supreme Court indicated that an audio recording of a township trustees meeting was a sufficient record of the proceedings for public information purpose. And it cites the court case. The court cited a paragraph used by the township as a regular introduction to its minutes, which stated the audio recording, resolutions passed, and any attachments constitutes an accurate record of the Liberty Township trustee proceedings at the above dated meeting as determined by the fiscal officer. The following summary is provided as an overview of the meeting and a roadmap to the audio recording. And it said, if you use recordings as part of your minutes, you should consider using similar language. So I will start there.
So we're just not doing paper minutes anymore? There's nothing to approve?
At this point in time, I'll do it this way.
Yep.
Okay. And like I said, Nancy does a very, so I don't know, I think maybe there's been one time that I saw something that wasn't, there was something said that wasn't in there. Other than that, she does a very good job. It's on the internet. She posts them within days. So I think we're covered.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Trustee Sheets.
Yes.
Trustee Hunter.
Yes.
Trustee Good.
Yes.